So, Anthony, yesterday you said, Glenn, you're at a conference. Doesn't look like you're at a conference. I wanted to set it up today. Look at me. I'm at a conference.
That is a great green screen, Glenn.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Anthony Melchiori, so great to see you. So I'm here at HOTEC North America. I'm in Aventura, Florida. I'm having such a great time seeing all of our friends that we haven't gone to conferences with in the last year and a half. And the cool thing is, Anthony, it looks like business is getting done all around me.
So there's no mask, temperature checks, nothing. Everything's back to normal.
Yeah, everything is back to normal, except for me, because I keep leaving the room and going with my pockets. Do I have a mask? Do I have a mask? And then realizing I don't need it because everybody here is feeling free.
That's great. So what's the feeling there? How are people feeling? Like,
I think everybody's feeling absolutely ecstatic. But you know what? Let's bring in our first guest. Ask him how he's feeling. Of course, we got Adele Ross of Hotel Effectiveness. Del, so great to see you. He's right next to me over on this side. So great to see you. What do you think about the vibe over here, man?
I love it. It's great to see you guys here, but it's even better to see all of my fellow hoteliers around.
Right.
We are people who like people, and being together, well, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, absolutely nothing like it.
Yeah, and I love the fact that so far about 2 or 3 people have looked over your shoulders and threatened.
Exactly. It was like that. Anthony, it was like that when we were at Resorts World doing the Happy Hour Friday night audit show, which all of you guys could watch Friday nights at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm broadcasting from the Doghouse sports bar that they have there. And every few minutes, people would come by and be like, ooh. You
know what? You did that yesterday. You did that yesterday, Glenn, and I'd like you to do that every day from now on.
Well, when I'm at the home studio, I can't get that close to the camera. All right, so Del, labor, turns out it's still an issue. What's going on with that? I'm sorry, guys. Del gave me these great slides. I'm having some sort of tech issue. I can't bring up the slides, but hotel labor recovery, what's going on?
So
there's an issue with labor in America? I'm shocked.
Amazingly enough, and in hotels, right. So a couple of things. You know, we like to drop these data bombs on you guys every so often.
Yeah.
Here's the latest.
Data bomb.
Yeah. So the good news here, I guess it's good news, is that we've recovered nearly 2/3 of the pre-pandemic jobs in hotels in the U.S. So we're up over 65% of pre-COVID jobs.
All right, question. Aren't there more jobs available, though?
There are. We've got somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million open jobs right now.
So if those were filled, then what level would we be at?
We'd be at about 75%.
Okay. All right. That's it. That's interesting. And that makes more sense to me. So obviously there's a difference there that's affecting our business.
Exactly. So this is, there's good news and bad news, but we are understaffed in hotels. We're stretched. And it's starting to show in all kinds of ways. We talked before about how the people entering this, the workforce, the hotel workforce, aren't from the industry. Well, it's starting to show up in attrition. We track attrition in hotel effectiveness. We got all this data on all these hotels. Attrition for pretty much every job is way up. Housekeepers always really high. Pre-COVID is 109% on average in North America per year. It's up over 121%. And new hire attrition is at record levels as well. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Same for guest services. Crept up over 100 from a little around 80% historically. It's over 100 right now. That's pretty bad. And you remember, every time you fill a position, it adds 30% to the cost of that role for the year. So it's a big deal. But what's really alarming today, what I wanted to share with you guys, is the impact to our managers. We have put the weight of the world on managers' shoulders throughout the whole pandemic. And especially now, where we hear stories all the time of GMs and AGMs, cleaning rooms, fixing TVs, patrolling parking lots, you name it, they're doing it. They're working like crazy in what was already a hard job. Well, it's starting to show up in the attrition numbers. For both assistant GMs and general managers, historically, about 1/3 of those positions turn over every year, about 35%. For assistant general managers, turnover is running at 80% annualized.
And that's compared to 35% in 2019, according to this great chart that you have.
Forever, exactly. It's about 1/3. We are replacing most, by far, of the assistant general managers, and they're leaving the industry. They're not going to other hotels. They're going away.
Anthony, this is something you've been scared about and warned about.
Oh, yeah.
I've been worrying about this, not pre-pandemic, pre-2000. I mean, it's always been a problem. The assistant manager. I'll just take myself for example. When I was an assistant manager and I was a young manager, I had a lot of confidence issues. So I was an overachiever, and I worked. You asked me to work 18 hours. I said, "Can I work 20 hours a day? Can I work 7 days a week? Can I come in on holidays?" It's like I just had a need to prove myself. But I remember going through that process of normal, and like I can't imagine. Like people are allowed to do this, and that their owners and the managers above me didn't care. They didn't care that we were working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. They did not care at all. And I have not seen that at all. And the assistant managers in most markets don't make a lot of money. You can almost make, in a lot of markets, you can make almost as much money being a supervisor for Dunkin' Donuts than you can be an assistant manager of a hotel in some of these B markets.
That's right.
And like you said, everything falls on top of their shoulders. And like Glenn said, I've been warning about this problem for many years. And what's happened when I first came into the business, right? You had a general manager, you had a resident manager, you had a rooms division manager, you had a assistant rooms division manager, you had a front desk manager, you had an assistant front desk manager. Now you'll be lucky you have a front office manager that reports into the general manager.
Yeah, and the GMs are quitting too. The GM attrition turnover is over 54% right now.
Crazy.
It's really bad. The thing is, this is a clarion call. We've got to make some changes. We need to start being more efficient with how we use our teams. We need to share teams across sister hotels and markets. That's rarely done today. It's a no-brainer. We need to take the load off of the manager's shoulders by unlocking the labor we already have and using it more efficiently with higher productivity. And that basically requires some use of some smart thinking, if nothing else, really elaborate spreadsheets or some cheap technology to be able to make this happen. We're moving into a new age of managing workforces that I think is going to help us in the long run. But right now, it just exacerbates the pain that our hotels are feeling, that our staff is feeling, and unfortunately, that the guests are feeling.
So if you were a general manager and you walk into a hotel today and you were having all these problems, what's the first thing you would do?
First thing I would do is I would actually take a hard look at my utilization of my staff. Anthony, you're not going to believe this, but 70% of hotel workers today in North America are not working 40 hours a week, right? 70%.
Wow.
We have available labor now in our staff that we're not using properly. It's because they don't know, they can't see it. So access to this information would be incredibly impactful for managers to be able to actually solve the problems with existing staff and not have to turn to outside contract agencies that, frankly, their labor quality issues are they're pretty profound and they're super expensive. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I tell you, I've been talking years about people, employees looking a guest in the eye when they walk down the hallway. Excuse me, or walk in the lobby. It doesn't exist, man. They just look down and they all look like they're beaten. I mean, it's just everywhere in the best hotels and the worst hotels. I mean, it just seems like everyone is just one. A lot of people don't think they want to work. They just look like, I want to go back. I want to go back to during the pandemic when I was getting paid to stay at home. And they don't seem like they're well trained, to be honest with you.
They're not. We're not even taking the time to explain to them why what we do in hotels is so important. These are not people who are mission driven. That's why they entered the industry. They want a job. But we need to tell them we provide a critical purpose, a critical function for people who need a place to stay and they want a comfortable, safe, warm environment with maybe some amenities that they can't get at home. This is a really important purpose. We don't bother to tell our new hires, what we're here to do. We just hand them a housekeeping cart and say, good luck.
Right. Yeah. We've got to get moving on to the next segment. But Del, how can people find you? How can people learn more about what you're doing over there at Hotel Effectiveness?
HotelEffectiveness.com. Perfect Labor is our labor management suite used by over 5,000 hotels in North America. 1 out of every 5 select service, as well as full service conference hotels and extended stay hotels. We are talking to everybody right now. Everyone cares about labor cost and efficiency, and we're the one-stop shop.
All right, Del, well, we got to get you back on for a longer conversation. Thanks for popping in on air with us.
Thank you, Del.
Hey, man.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, Anthony, I mean, that's really interesting, right? He's really doing some.
I always learn a lot of stuff. I always learn a lot of stuff from Del. I learned nothing from you, but
Anthony,
I learned a lot from Del.
Yeah, we definitely learned a lot from him. All right. We got one of our guests getting settled right now, but let's start off by bringing in two of our others, Kimberly Miller and Tyler Duncan of Duncan and Miller Design. So great to see you.
Great to see you.
Yeah,
you as well.
this is
In
awesome.
person.
In person. No, so I've known these guys for a while. I won't say how long because it'll embarrass all of us, but definitely long enough, you know.
Glenn.
Yes,
you
sir.
just said you'll embarrass all of us. You just went like this. Yay! Really, you're worried about being embarrassed?
I was embarrassing me, not all of us. And here's someone who's unflappable and can't be bothered. Beth Campbell of Campbell House.
Good morning.
How are you?
Wonderful.
Great. Talk right into the microphone.
It's
I know
great
you
to
want
be
to
here.
look at me. Don't look
So
at me.
tempting.
Look right in that. Look right in that camera and talk right into that microphone. I know. So this is great to have all of these designers around us, Anthony. So first, before we get started, I do want to thank Tyler Duncan. About 7 years ago at the NEWH event in Dallas, took me outside, gave me a good swift kick in the ass, and said, "Dude, you got to start your own business. You got to get stuff going on." And took a year to sink in, but that definitely started me on the road to
Wait, you created this monster? You created
Sorry, I did.
Well, you know what? Before we start, Glenn, I want to do something that I think is really important, and this is all serious. You know, you're in a convention. I'm in Vegas for meetings. You guys are all together. No one's wearing masks. No temperature checks. Everything seems to be relatively normal.
And everyone's going to lunch, so it suddenly got quieter.
But we really have to thank our science community because I think we've really forgotten, because we're back to normal, what it could be like. Because we didn't think we'd get back to normal September, October, November, December. And even with our science community, but because of the way everything from supply chain to science, our frontline workers, I really, you know, I at this moment, for some reason, I feel more grateful than I have for the vaccine, because seeing you guys there, seeing you all together, and no one is like seeing you on a mic, like right next to each other, it's just something that's kind of profound. Not thinking that we would be here at least for at least a long time. So anyway, I just want to say that
we're actually shaking hands
Yep.
and hugging
Yeah.
too on top of it.
Yeah, people are saying nobody's shaking hands or hugging. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's more. I mean, the cab driver's looking to hug me. It's everybody's hugging.
Totally. And the average hug length has, I think, gone up by 3 times. I mean, you know, everyone's like hugging each other and not letting go. It just feels so good, right, Beth?
Exactly. We've missed everybody.
No, Glenn, that's just you, Glenn. That's just you. You're hugging and not letting go.
I crave the human touch since nobody wants to have anything to do with me. This is the perfect excuse for me to get out there again.
Yeah. What we do here every day, we're Monday through Thursday on the podcast, is we deal with Glenn's mental health challenges.
Yes. All right.
So what are we talking about, Glenn?
We're going to talk about design, but more importantly, I really think that it's a symbol. Today's conversation is symbolizing new beginnings. Beth was formerly the CEO of a powerful global design firm and decided to go at it on her own. Pretty incredible to go from one thing to another. That's just in the last couple of months. And our friends Tyler and Kimberly over there have partnered up very recently. So it's really a time of new beginnings, new starts, and all of that for all of us in hospitality, especially these guys over here. I need some water. It looks like Anthony's. Can you hear us, Anthony? Are you
I
there?
hear you perfect. I hear you
All right.
perfectly.
Cool. I was just expecting you to say something. So, Beth, let's get started with you over there. What made you take this leap, and what do you feel now is a perfect opportunity for you to energize your career by starting all over?
Yeah, it's been a really fun journey over the last year. I think everybody went through this with COVID, where you had these questions and uncertainty, and just exploring and seeing other options. It just was the natural thing to do, was start a new company. People want to get away from bureaucracy. They want the freedom, all the things that we learned to do well during COVID, and all the things that we respect that we missed during COVID.
Right.
And so it was just kind of a fun little opportunity, and we dove right in. I exited Wilson last fall, and we launched in January, and we have studios in LA, Vegas, Dallas, New York, and Paris already. So yeah, so we very quickly picked up clients and continued our relationships and got some great designers and creative studios going, and so it's really exciting.
So what's the biggest change from the way you used to do business to you doing business now?
We're making decisions for us, meaning our talent, our designers, and for our clients. It's no longer, it's a brilliant organization owned by a very strong company out of China, but all the decisions were rendered by them and for them. And so now we have this ultimate freedom to do what we see and feel is correct, and we're nimble. And so everything gets directly channeled right back to the talent, and they're allowed to do what they do best, design
Excellent.
and hang out with clients.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think coming out of the pandemic, I think that's the one thing that whether you're a housekeeper or a designer or a president, people are not going to tolerate the restrictions that have been placed on them either through an arduous organizational chart or through poor management. People want the freedom to be creative and to be themselves. And I think if anything's come out of the pandemic, it's that. I think that's clear with all labor issues we're having.
So why did you guys team up? You both had successful practices.
Well, I mean, it's been a totally fun journey. And like Beth said, it was really perfect timing. So we've had a company that has specialized in hospitality and really in that market. And Tyler has been so successful in food and beverage. And so we had these different segments. And so we finally had time to have lunch during the pandemic. And said, why are we just not together? Why don't we just kind of take over the universe and
That's amazing.
merge?
Yeah.
So it was a handshake over lunch.
It was a very simple transaction for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the best transactions. That's mine and Glenn's transaction. Just over lunch, we said, let's take over the world. And we haven't really done that, but the handshake was good.
No, but we definitely took over the table at the restaurant we were at. So we're starting small and building from there.
Kimberly and I have known each other, 35 years
right.
Long
now?
time.
Long time. So we've always kind of toyed and played with the idea of merging the companies, and
It was
this
the right
opportunity,
time
that's
to
the
do
right
it.
time to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So where are we right now? Beth, let's talk a little bit of hotel design, because obviously that's what we're here to talk about. We'll talk about restaurant design as part of this as
Sure.
well. But now you're here, you've started this new business, you've got new opportunities that are coming. How has design changed over the last couple of years? What are the new things that you're thinking about moving forward and reevaluating? Honestly, I don't want to hear anything about COVID BS, because I think none of that's really going to take part in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think the COVID is very, was a real problem and an opportunity, but operations teams handled that. And I'm
Right.
sure you, our counterparts here,
Yep.
experienced that as well.
Could I just get you to speak a little bit more straight into that mic?
Yes.
Thank you.
But the other trends are definitely about the new traveler and how they're traveling,
Right.
and the idea of what they want to do, and it's about engagement at different levels with different people. So you still have the tourism, but it's a different group of people, and I'm sure you're experiencing that as well.
Yeah. How are you guys seeing it?
I think that it's the same traveler, but they're really wanting to have a true experience. So now if they've been cooped up, they want to get out and they want to have interactive experiences. And that's where the food and beverage is so important from that design aspect. And it's just, it's got to be an experience.
Right.
I think.
All right. So Tyler, how's experiences different today? Because we've been talking about living in the experience economy since the end of the Great Recession, right? So 10 years we're talking about this already, but you guys are saying it's different. How is it different now than it had been prior to COVID?
That's kind of hard to answer, actually, because I think, the restaurant business had suffered tremendously.
Yeah.
And some the restaurants to open up at small stages.
Yeah,
Texas,
we
on
just
the
had
other hand-
takeout cocktails
Right.
in New York. Yeah.
So, Texas is a little bit different because we're from Texas, and they open up rather quickly than other states. So
Right.
I think experience is different for each state worldwide.
Right.
However, in Texas and probably everywhere else, everyone just wants to get out. They
Right.
want to have fun. They want to have that pre-experience that they had before. Even us at this trade show,
Yeah.
it's great. We're not wearing masks. We're all hugging each other. It's like COVID does not exist, and it's great.
Yeah.
For that.
I think one part of how the experience has changed and what we're seeing in developing some new product that we're doing with clients is to have the flexibility of having a lot of outdoor space.
Yep.
And having that be flexible and transitional where it can, adjust to the different weathers and climates. But expanding outdoor experiences we've seen has really taken an uptick.
Right. That makes sense. And that was already, Anthony, like we always talk about, these things were rooted in trends that existed pre-COVID, but they have accelerated. Beth, what do you think about this whole outdoor notion?
I completely agree. We're experiencing that everywhere, food and beverage, even offices that we're doing. They want indoor outdoor space, spas, particularly working on a project in Telluride, and they want everything to be indoor outdoor from the rooms to the spa experience.
Right.
And so we're seeing it everywhere.
Interesting.
And also cities are getting more lenient on areas that required parking. But pre-COVID, park a restaurant at a certain square footage.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've kind of elapsed from that, and they're allowing more outdoor environments because they know that it's a thing.
Yeah,
now.
in New York, they're right now keeping the outdoor seating, which is really good for a lot of those restaurants because, as we know, those restaurants are very, very small. And so having 20, 30 seats out on the sidewalk has been really helpful, especially since New York restaurants have been hit so hard. I just think that there's going to have to be some traffic concerns that address because there's a lot of traffic concerns. And also, personally, I don't like sitting on Fifth Avenue in a cardboard box with a car going 50 miles an hour down Fifth Avenue. But I think they're addressing that from traffic concerns, but I think hopefully long term they're going to keep a lot of those outdoor sidewalk restaurants. I think, and a lot of the restaurants have done a great job designing them to look like the restaurant.
Right. Fabulous. So what are developers thinking right now when it comes to design, not just outdoor spaces, but in general? Are they willing to take more chances? Are they willing to take some sort of risk? Are they willing to try something new, or are they going to do what typically they do is they say they're going to do something new and then everybody does the same thing?
Can I say something before you say that? I'm just talking as a person, not the professional that's in the industry, okay, that helps design and run hotels. But I'm going to say as a layman, as a person that just goes to hotels, I'm seeing a lot of the same things. I'm seeing a lot of the same finishes. I'm seeing a lot of the same feeling. And it just doesn't seem, it seems like we're putting a lot of these hotels together quickly. And it just seems like there's a lot of finishes that are simple. That's a simple way of me saying it. Are you finding that, whether it be cost, whether it be shipping? I mean, what am I noticing, or am I out of my mind?
You answered that. Yes. You're definitely not out of your mind, and it does.
No, he is, but maybe not for this reason.
Not for this reason. The fact is that obviously we're all running into that operational issue of getting product shipped and delivered, and so I can tell you. And
be sure to check our show from yesterday. We talked about supply chain issues. Find that at novacancynews.com, our web pages, Anthony's pages, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, Beth.
Exactly. Well, even I'm sure you experienced this as we went and had all of our individual meetings here in the last 2 days. Mm-hmm. Everything is about shipping times. Right. And so there's that piece of it. I think there was some complacency that happened in the spaces you're experiencing now, right before COVID and into COVID. It was about speed to market. Right. And so we're finding in our experience is that they're shifting and they're allowing us to actually apply some creativity to the solutions that we're bringing to bear instead of some cookie cutter solutions.
So what does apply creativity to a particular problem? Real world.
In real time. So it's a Hakkasan restaurant, and obviously the developer wanted it very cost effective, wanted it in time. It was an outdoor space. It's in the Middle East and on the ocean. And so we wanted to work with them on a solution for the actual product. And so we worked to create more metal that was clad and anodized in the furniture versus wood or teak that would have to be replaced, because we've run into that experience, or tabletops, so more glass, things of that nature. So that's how we've worked with them on products. That's just one.
That's interesting. And just so everybody knows, when we were at Virgin last week, Hakkasan owns Casa Calavera, and the food is absolutely delicious.
The food's delicious.
If you're ever by there, go check that out.
The furniture's being
so have we resolved the bar top issue where we're having to replace bar tops every 5 minutes. What is the greatest, this is a side question just personally, what's the best material for a bar top?
Ooh.
It would be a man-made stone, probably a quartz.
Why man-made, not
And-
natural?
Porous.
Mhm.
But a quartz would.
Because I'm still seeing in these beautiful restaurants, I'm still seeing glass rings on the counters. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's really a shame. So Colleen has a question about design. Are the walls behind you all finished? Any artwork going up or greenery? No, we are in a conference ballroom type of thing, and this is a classic ballroom decor, right?
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah. So all right. So let's talk about like ballrooms and stuff like that, right? I mean, not this one in particular, but generally speaking, how would you approach something like that to make it different, make it more engaging, make it a space that people are going to recognize as opposed to being a blank canvas for events?
Well, but that is the challenge.
That's kind of the point,
when
though,
you
also,
try to
right?
get to that creativity level and make it unique and make
Right.
it memorable. Then you've got an event or a bride that's like, this
I
does
don't
not
like
match
this.
my,
Color scheme.
decor.
Right.
So I do think when we were talking about creativity, one thing that we see a lot now where the owners they understand, and
Mhm.
you've seen it here,
Right.
like everybody wants to have an Instagram moment.
Mhm.
Everybody that's coming in the hotel or the restaurant wants to have their picture on something that I was here.
Mm-hmm.
So that has really been a big thing in what we're creating in
So
new
then how do you
designs. So
break
it has to
that
have a
down?
memory.
Right. Right. Because it's one of those things that we've said this before, Anthony, right? If you didn't take a picture of it, did you actually do it? Right. So
Well, the reason I was laughing when they said like we're so like we're on social media, this platform, we're everywhere, and me and Glenn, we are so old. We're in Vegas. We're everywhere. We don't take pictures. We don't take pictures of each other. We don't take pictures of food. We don't take pictures. We don't social media. And then we get home. We're like, wow, our podcast is great, and like we get great people. We have great conversations, but our social media is horrific. And I have a social media company that's always asking me, hey, you're paying me. Can you give me some content? And me and Glenn are like, all right, good night, all the time.
no, like
He's
I'm
worse than I am.
worse because I say I'm going to do it and then I completely forget in the moment and nothing ever happens. Kind of like me putting up the graphic at the end of the show. I know I have to do it. I just can't remember actually do it. But yeah, that's absolutely true. But Anthony, I got to tell you, we did get some great pictures that some of the PR people took of us last week in action. So I'll get a couple of those.
I see that.
Yeah. So that's pretty awesome. All right. But when you're talking about what we're really talking about is creating social media moments. And while Anthony and I should be taking pictures of us doing what we do, for most people that are guests in hotels, they want to have that moment, that iconic thing that you put in there that symbolizes the property. And for me, I think about the Margaritaville Resort down here where they have that giant flip flop, because to me, it's just quintessentially Margaritaville. It creates that moment and every single person takes a picture with it and shares it. What do you think about social media moments? What does create a great social media moment?
It obviously has to be authentically
Right.
local. It has to have that moment, like you're just talking about the flip flop. Actually, you mentioned the Hakkasan at Virgin in Las Vegas. They have that beautiful bench out front.
Yes.
That was built from old tequila barrels, and that's their moment. And so
it looks beautiful.
It does look beautiful, and although the hotel is fantastic, there's a lot of disparate parts. It doesn't look like, but that is, you walk up and you know that's an Instagram moment. So that's where we're finding the best application is just in moments, and that can be.
Is that the Virgin Hotel you said?
Yes.
I'll be there
In
for
Las-
dinner tonight, so I will take a picture and send it.
Are you going back to Kasi Beach?
We're going to One Steak, I think it's called.
Oh, One Steakhouse.
Oh, that's great.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Take some pictures.
Hey, wait for me. I'll come back now.
I won't, but okay.
All right. So how do you guys see that, Tyler? In a restaurant, I mean, obviously, the food portion of it's got to look beautiful because people take pictures of that. But you're a designer. You're not a chef.
No, we just make everything different. We want to be different. We don't want to be the same.
Right.
And we take that approach on every project that we do. Just having things that are memorable. Things that are memorable are Instagrammable moments.
Right.
So if you create those wow factors and things that people can photograph well, because you could have something lit very wrong and then it doesn't show up great on the phone. So like a neon sign, sometimes it gets washed out.
Right.
So you have to be careful what
That's
materials you
interesting.
pick.
That's interesting. So you actually have to think about not just the design, but the materials in
The
it
lighting,
that will
yeah. Mhm.
allow people to create the best impression through a
Right.
photograph.
Yeah, because
You know, it's interesting you said that. I'm sorry.
I never
It's
heard that
interesting you said that. I was walking through a hotel yesterday, and there was this place that is obviously like for all the guests to stop and take the Instagram, and the sign, the name of the hotel's sign was so bad, so it was lit so bad. I actually, when I was walking past, I said, "Let me take a picture of that and see how that shows up." I took a picture of it, and it showed up terrible. You saw the beautiful design, but you didn't see the name. The name didn't show up well. So that's interesting you said that.
Huh. Fascinating. So what's a cool social media moment that you helped create for a restaurant or hotel, guys, recently?
XO.
XO is in Dallas. The whole restaurant's pink. Everywhere you look, there's a wow moment.
That's cool.
There's another local one, Ebb and Flow, where it's in Deep Ellum, where there's no patios. So we created a patio by sinking in the space. The entire ceiling is just with foliage.
Wow.
And lighting.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I like that look.
That XOXO is probably the #1 TikTok scene restaurant.
All right.
on
Well,
TikTok.
I'll be down. I'll be down in Dallas
come check it out.
for a HOA in August, and I'll have to go check that out and do a TikTok over there. Maybe it'll be my first one. I'm not sure if I can handle the TikTok thing. You TikTok there, Beth?
Not really.
All right, smart move. Excellent. So, you know, you're working on projects all over the world already. You just started 6 months ago. Congratulations. How did you do that so fast? And it sounds like 4 offices. You have a team. Jeez.
Yeah, it's been great. We pulled together the right people. It's exactly what you two did. It's the perfect marriage of people. It's a blend of passionate people that care and want to do really great design, and we all have the growth mindset. So we jumped in, and we all brought our clients over with us. It also helps that my predecessor is no longer in business, and so we quickly picked up those clients. And so we also had the freedom then to do projects that we wanted to do. We didn't just have to do luxury. We got to do pretty much anything we want. So we very quickly picked up clients in a lot of places. So we're very, very fortunate and having a great time.
That's great.
We're talking about luxury. What are you seeing the biggest change in luxury design?
I mean, I don't know that there's a big, I don't think we're seeing it or realizing it. I think that, you know, with the luxury product, as far as like renovations coming up,
What are you seeing
really tough.
Right. Say that again. Sorry. Say that again. Just repeat that.
Oh, I said, I think it'll come to pass. I mean, I think after we're coming out of this type of financial impact, which really impacted luxury tremendously. I mean, just to operate and keep the lights on, the cost of these luxury products is so high. I think we're going to, even if some of them need renovation, it's going to be a ways out.
And I agree.
They're recouping.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it's going to be near future, but it's the changes in services, but it's also the changes in the amenities and the room layouts, right? Because we're going to be working remotely, or we're going to have our whole family or extended family. So different layouts.
This is interesting when you talk about working remotely, because what was it, 4 or 5 years ago, everyone was insisting on not putting desks in the room because they're like, millennials don't want desks. I'm like, BS, BS. They like the option.
That went out of style quickly. I mean, people got pissed off real quick with that.
Right. So now with the whole notion of the living and working and trying to combine that in a more meaningful way to accentuate your overall quality of life, how does that change? I think
they still want to work. I mean, when you're traveling now, and you're going to see it more and more, I mean, people don't necessarily want to be cooped up in their room. They're fine. You know, they got to work remotely, but I want to be down in like the cool coffee shop kind of atmosphere, or the bar, and I want to have all my USB ports, and I want to be able to kind of see people walking around me and work. So
be alone together.
Yeah, alone together always.
Yeah, I like that. I like being alone together. Sorry, I'm keep getting yelled at for looking at you guys. I need to be looking over here. But you're all here, and it's so exciting that
we're gonna have a group
together.
hug.
I know, right? Maybe we could do it on camera, get everyone all jealous
and
at
we'll
all
take
the love going on over here.
Are they seeing from a convention standpoint, or are they seeing numbers that they showed pandemic or 2019? I mean, is there attendance as it was in 2019?
Here at this particular event, HOTEC
Yeah,
North
it's
America,
full.
it's got to be like sold out. I mean,
It's completely sold
yeah,
out.
there's over the way these events work is it's putting buyers and suppliers together in a matchmaking scenario. And I think there I could look, there's number table 91 over there, and they started with like number 1. So there's a whole lot of suppliers here. And then there's usually 2 of those people, and then another 100 or so on the buying side for these designer folks that we have here, other decision makers as well.
And this is the first one, correct?
First one back, yeah.
First one back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So September, October, November, the meeting spaces in hotels will hopefully be busy.
And let me tell you, Anthony, this is not the only meeting taking place at this property while we're here. There's
It's like
another
a
group here.
FedEx meeting or something.
I think there's FedEx
people.
office over there.
I
But
saw
but
all
there's
the banners. I thought they were having a little show.
maybe they're running over to do overnight delivery to each other. I don't know. But there are a couple of events going on here simultaneously to this one, Anthony, which is exciting because things are really coming back. This resort here is packed. It is so freaking busy. And it looks like they've got a lot of staff over here because everything, they're really doing a great job at delivering a very upscale / luxury experience over here.
Well, Florida.
What hotel are you in?
JW Marriott Turnberry
Oh, okay.
in Aventura.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, Kimberly?
Well, we're renovating 2 hotels in Florida right now,
Mhm.
different St. Petersburg and Rosemary Beach. And I mean, it was tough to just go down there and do walkthroughs because they're so busy. I mean, they did not slow down. People flocked to Florida.
Mhm.
Well, Vegas, you're back. I live in Vegas, but Vegas is back to 98.5% occupancy on the strip. So
I disagree. It's 198%. Last night, I was looking for an Uber or a cab, and
Yeah, good luck.
the line, and I'm not talking last night like 9 o'clock. I'm talking last night like 1 o'clock when I was coming over from Resort World, where I was testing out the new poker room. And matter of fact, the host there was lovely. She was making me laugh. She was telling me really bad jokes all night. And
Felt like you were on.
Why does New York City residents hate tunnels?
Why?
Because the light at the end of the tunnel is New Jersey. She thought that was the funniest. That was good. She thought that was the funniest joke she's ever told anyone. Anyway, so I'm coming back and I'm trying to find a cab or an Uber. It took 45 minutes to get one, and you know how I got one? A guy that had an Uber felt so bad for me because I'm sitting there sweating. He said, let's ask the Uber driver if he'll take you after he drops me off. And he did. So I paid him, don't tell anybody, but I paid him under the Uber table. And but it took me 45 minutes and every restaurant was packed.
Like frightening.
I mean,
yeah,
I've
like
never seen Vegas this busy on a Monday night, even with conventions in town. I've never seen. I was walking down the hallway of a huge hotel, and I don't mean a hallway like a room, a corridor. I'm talking about a lobby, and it's 100 feet wide, and we're running into each other. It is absolutely the busiest I've ever seen Vegas by far.
yeah.
that's how I felt. Yeah.
We just
And
needed.
thanks. I was going to say thanks for paying my taxes.
Yeah.
Keep playing poker.
We just needed the rest of the world to catch up with
Yeah.
Vegas.
Yeah,
Florida.
well, things are happening. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
it's been
happening.
pretty
It's coming.
busy down here. We're seeing that we're seeing some of the big cities come back. Anthony and I are going to be doing a broadcast from Times Square on September 14th when Broadway goes back. So I think that'll be a good kickoff to the city, being vibrant and
That'll
lively
be
again.
fun.
Yeah, Anthony, what's up?
I started laughing because we were talking about how busy it is. I asked Bellman, I was like, what is it about Vegas? Because I saw a lot of people falling. I'll be honest with you. I saw a lot of drunk people, like a lot of regular people, everyday people, your next door neighbor, not like 20-year-old kids. I'm talking about that 40, 50-year-old housewife, like literally being dragged on a luggage cart. And he just looked at me, he goes, people just lose their mind.
Well, we said it last night. It's pent up social.
Yep.
Yeah, I really see it. I usually see a couple of drunk people a night, like when you're in Vegas. It's like it was crazy last night. Everybody was walking into a wall last night. It was hysterical, especially when you're completely sober and you're just watching everybody. It's like, oh my god, man, you really need to get out of the house.
Yeah, well,
And Vegas is doing a great job. I mean, they really are.
They really
It's just, it's so fantastic. And a lot of the employees I spoke to, I mean, they're just so happy, especially like over at the Win, how they were taken care of. And just there was one person I said, hey, you didn't go over to the poker room over at the Resorts World. He goes, there's nothing in the world that ever get me away from working at where I'm working. They took such good care of us during the pandemic. And you really see a lot of appreciation from the employees that have been here a long time of how they were handled, not only from the hotel, but also from the government, how they shut it down, but then they opened it up. And then they allowed people in, and they allowed people to work, and it was you can really see a lot of satisfaction from a lot of people I spoke to.
Governor Sisolak knew that going in. He
Right.
spent a lot of time. He created a committee, and he had business representatives speak to him. So he didn't play favorites, or there was nothing like that he was trying to get back channel funding or anything. And he worked with the casino owners to put a plan in place, and it was really well executed. And all the casinos were involved. And so when one went back to 30%, they all went back. And so they all worked together, and they took care of each other, and they took care of their staff. They knew this day would come. They're ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think anybody predicted, everything opened up at the same time, predicted that there's an issue. Right now, what did he say? There's 1 million jobs that are not filled. And I think Vegas did a really good job of maintaining that relationship with their employees. And they have a problem, but they have less of a problem than most cities.
Yeah. And I feel like they don't have problems like this city doesn't have problems. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Everybody came to South Florida and are still here in South Florida. Well, we got to talk a little bit more about design before we wrap this show up. So when you're thinking about creating designs, how do you guys get into that creative mindset to do something new, something that hasn't been discussed before visually, without trying to repeat the same old? Because honestly, one thing I complain to Anthony all about is that it seems like a lot of hotel designs, they want to change it radically different, but like I said to you before, but then they all do it in exactly the same way. So everyone is different exactly in the same way. And then it winds up being the same old sea of sameness again. So how are you thinking about that, Beth? How do you make sure that your designs can resonate, create something that people will remember and won't just create a fungible product that nobody can tell apart from one hotel to another brand?
It's an excellent question, and it's an age-old question, right?
Yeah, of
We've
course.
all
Yeah.
struggled with
Right.
it, and it's not like you can schedule a designer today. You're going to design from 11:05 to 12:40. It's not how it works. You have to create that environment, and you have to get that mental mindset to be free to actually let the juices flow.
Mhm.
And then the other side of that is collaboration, right? It's great to work by yourself at times, but it's about having the conversations with teammates
Right.
and exploring and expressing ideas and then bouncing them off of each other. So that's really where, at the root of it, what we're doing to create the core of the feeling that allows great design to happen.
Mhm.
And so obviously then it's different for each designer as you
Right.
ebb into it.
I mean, design by its nature is it's a collaborative sport, if you will.
Yes.
And so it really takes a lot of different ingredients, Glenn, because if you have a creative owner
Mhm.
that wants to be a little,
Right.
take a risk and a chance, then that helps the designer be more creative and feel safe to say, hey, why don't we do
But I suspect
bocce court in your room?
Right.
you
I
know?
suspect a
mean,
lot of owners, though, say that they want to be creative. They want to do this, that, but then they wind up pulling it back on you guys. Right.
Well, then it
Yeah,
depends.
but-
Whether you've got a big box brand involved
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if you've got an independent and a lifestyle and somebody that really is not worried about trying to stream.
Fit in a channel.
I won't mention any
That's
particular
we
names,
try not to throw anyone under the
but,
bus. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, what percentage, when you look at a design and you all agree, your team agrees, the owner agrees, everybody agrees, it says, this is what we want. What percentage of that design actually shows up in the building? Between supply issues, between cost issues, between, whatever issue. Is it typically the majority of what's in front of you will get eventually into the hotel, or is it, significantly different than what you look at? You just try to maintain as much of that as possible, because there are a lot of issues. I mean, like, I want this chair, and all of a sudden that chair is not available, and that chair is on a ship, and I need it today, and then, well, it's not available in beige, it's available in purple and yellow polka dots. Like, how much of that comes into
I think,
play on the.
I think if you're a
on
really,
design.
really good design firm like that, like I think the three of us are
Mhm.
here at the table, you're anticipating those things going in. I don't think you should ever be in a situation where you've presented a design or you've landed on a design and then somehow you didn't realize how much it was going to cost or you can't get it. I mean,
Mhm. And
that's why you hire a great design firm.
And it's a relationship, right? It's a relationship with the client to begin with, that you can have that conversation up front. And then one of the main things we try to do is bring in the purchasing agents and or contractors, even during design, schematic design, design development, that allows you to have those conversations. Like, okay, we get what you're trying to design here, Beth, but the fact is we know we can't get that. We can't get that material, but we could go this way. And you have those collaborative conversations and more iterative design solutions. So then when it comes time to buy, you've already worked out those kinks. And so the hope is to avoid that. But, things still happen. Things still go sideways. But
Yeah.
most design solutions have a tendency to get in there if you have a great relationship with your client.
Yeah. Oh, that's
How-
interesting.
But how many
And-
times have you had to go to a client and go, this is what we're going to do? You sign the contract, you signed off, you're going to go sit over there and you're going to sit in the corner and you're going to stop talking to everyone because you're screwing everything up. And I would imagine as experienced people with a good sense of themselves and a good sense of what they do, I'd imagine, I couldn't have done that 30 years ago. I can do that now. I would imagine that has to come to play once in a while. It's like, hey, you have good intentions, but you got to shut up.
Right.
And you're
Let's
screwing everything up.
You can
Does
actually.
that happen? Does that happen from time to time? Does that happen from time to time?
It does, and I think it's just, especially with the new client, is once they trust you, then they decide to step out. Right. It's just gaining their trust and the respect.
But also, I'm
But-
finding right now it's the same thing, right? Where we're running into this. Only are designers forming new companies. We have restaurateurs that are stepping out, and guys that used to run nightclubs that are now starting their own restaurants, and they've never done it before. And so we've actually had to have a few of those conversations in our 5-month history here.
Right.
And it's been just that. It's been like, listen, we respect you. This is what we're seeing. Hope you understand the intention that we're seeing behind it, but let us do our job.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I hear you. So Jeff Broman has a statement here. I'm getting tired of half enclosed showers where the water gets all over the place, right? I'm sure housekeepers don't like them either. I hear you on that one. Also, if you want to conserve towels, put in more than one hook. I agree with that last part in particular, because right now we're not getting any towels from housekeeping at all.
Just one.
Right. And if it doesn't dry, you're
SOL.
yeah, right. Exactly. And I'm putting on damn towels every day again. And we're in Florida. It's a 2-shower a day kind of a place over here. Oh,
Look at that.
Oh, what's that? Oh, okay.
Jeez.
Wow.
yeah, that's a beautiful tub.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
All right. So what do you guys think about what do you guys think about some of these things? Why do we have these design mistakes? How do they continue to be replicated over time again and again and again? Because I've seen what he's saying many times.
First, mistake's a harsh word. I think it was a solution that made sense years ago. But to
Interesting.
the point that
Good
we
answer.
need to be more creative. And I've seen some really great solutions here about some glass sliders that are actually bowed out and they are actually on, barn door glass
Oh, cool.
shower enclosures. They're brilliant. So there just needs to be a smarter application
Right.
when we're designing
Right.
to start up front.
Makes much
Well,
sense.
and it takes some time. Like, these new barn door glass sliders, when that whole idea came about, we all
Right.
started converting tubs to showers.
Right.
The manufacturing product wasn't quite up to snuff.
Not
There's
yet.
a lot of
They're getting
tweaks,
there.
and so it takes time to
Right.
develop these
Fascinating.
products.
Right. Because I know me as an outsider, I just think, well, why wasn't it done immediately? Right. But
Right.
it's one of those things you don't
Glenn-
learn these lessons until you get into
Glenn,
it.
when in New York City, when we started taking all the bathtubs out, and this would go
Right.
across brands, across hotels, and those glass doors would not be able to meet, and the rubber that meet each other. You would not believe how many years it took for somebody to perfect that. I don't even know if they did. There were more floods in New York City because they put in thousands of those things, and they just didn't get that. They used the same company over and over again, and they didn't get that closure airtight, and it was a problem for a long time. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, we did. We
Completely.
put them in. That was what was available. So it was like,
Right.
Well, let me give a big shout out, kudos to the hotel industry for finally getting bathroom lighting right. I'm noticing it's
Oh, the
finally
lighting's so
much
much
better,
better.
particularly
They're
with great companies that have the lighting around the mirrors
In the
as
mirror,
well.
around the mirror.
There's a couple of companies I would name drop, but you're not sponsoring me. So if you
But
can
Glenn,
sponsor,
but Glenn, everybody knows that you're in serious therapy for the sink being too far away from the mirror and for all the water splashing on you.
faucet.
Has
Well, I'm
that been
just
resolved, Glenn?
no. The faucets are still too damn small. Why can't we come up with a faucet that goes into the sink so you don't have to hit your hands against the porcelain and splash the water all over everything, making the housekeeper's
Ju-
job
ju-
more difficult and my life miserable?
Right, just so everybody knows, I knew that's what he would do. That's why I did that.
Of course.
He does it every time.
I do every time. It pisses me off, Anthony, and you're
That is
pushing
the
my
designer's
buttons.
fault.
So,
What's
so
that?
why is that? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? That does seem
Because
that the
sometimes you have
sinks.
a designer that picks a really pretty faucet and a really pretty sink and never thinks about how they're going to work together and
right,
don't do a model
That-
room.
That same designer picks a chair that's too low for a table as
Yeah.
well, right?
That happens.
And like I'm an average height guy, and I'm putting pillows under my butt so I can I can type on my computer at the desk.
Yeah.
You know. Thank you, Gary. I'm glad that you're on my side with this particular issues. We're not afraid to talk about the big issues here on
Glenn,
No
you could
Vacancy
do a
Live.
whole show on all the hotel designer mistakes.
Yeah,
we could
just
just
do
do a
that.
whole rundown.
Yeah.
list.
Opportunities for improvement.
Yeah.
That's right. I love your positive attitude, Beth.
Just
You know,
gives us
you know what we should do? What we should do? You know what you could do to see if we design a room correctly? You can basically do a hidden camera, which I think is against the law, but imagine it wasn't, in the room and see how many pieces of furniture a guest has to move to get comfortable. We've all
Right.
been there, right? You've all moved furniture to get comfortable. Right now, I'm sitting in the middle of the room. The bathtub is in the middle of the room, which I love because it's my favorite hotel in the world. But I had to, in order to get bright lighting, I had to move a very heavy piece of furniture. My camera is actually on a ice bucket, and I'm underneath the bathtub lighting because it's the best lighting. But this is an extraordinary circumstance. You're not supposed to design a room for podcasting. But
Right.
my point is, I mean, that really tells me a lot when it's beautiful. But then I spend half my night changing the furniture so I can get comfortable. Or is it just me? Did nobody else do that?
Well, I was in a hotel very recently where the headboard thing had a light on it, but there was no way possible to turn off the light. Maybe there was, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it sober. I couldn't find it after I had a few drinks. I couldn't find it at all.
Glenn, where were we? Don't say the hotel, but we just recently. I called you. I'm like, dude, I can't have a shower on. Remember? And we spent 5 minutes. Two road warriors spent 5 minutes, maybe more, trying to bring each other food, turning the shower on, and we couldn't turn it on.
And he sent me pictures of how to do it because he figured it out. And then it turns out, Anthony, I never reported back to you. My plumbing was different than your plumbing, and I never had any luck figuring it out. So between that and then another place that I had to do, I had that whole headboard thing. And I had to move the bed, and this thing was like 100 pounds or something like that. And I had to unplug it from the wall. It was
Listen,
a mess.
you know you got it wrong when two guys who basically live in hotels and have traveled over 1 million miles cannot turn on a shower head. You know that's you over designed or under designed, or I don't know, maybe marijuana was legal in your state that night and you took a little too much and you designed a shower that doesn't open.
Sure, the legality affects a lot of people's opinions.
But let me say this. I want to say this because I think this is really important. What designers have done in hotels, not only in the last 5 years, the last 20 years, where people are really bringing hotels into their home, you really have to have shout out to your community because you have really leveled up. And you do it every day and you do it every month. And you're really seeing, you walk into people's homes and you're like, where'd you get all these ideas? It looks like a hotel room. And they're like, well, it is. And whether it be the scent, whether it be the color, whether it be, the beds, obviously, that was a big deal back in the day with the Heavenly Bed. But really, hotel designers have been, and restaurant designers have been instrumental in changing home design, I think. Am I right or am I wrong?
I think so. And I think it's worked. It definitely worked to our advantage during this pandemic because we had a client, a residential client, seek us out because he had stayed in a couple of our hotels that we designed and loved it. And he was like, I want that designer to do my house. And so we ended up kind of reversing
Right.
and doing residential.
Funny you should
because-
say that, Kimberly, because honestly, Anthony, I've been speaking to a lot of designers here, and they all seem to, when the hotel stuff went away temporarily, they had great relationships with people. A lot of people in their communities are kicking ass with their construction firms or their pizza places or whatever it is, and they all decide to redo their homes, and everybody's stepping into that role. So really interesting.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I am so inspired by design for a person that's been traveling the world for 10 years with designers. And what people don't understand is when I'm on set, I go to dinner and I go to sleep. These designers stay up 18 hours a day for 4 days to get everything, and they're dealing with new construction companies. They're dealing with all kinds of issues. They're saying, hey, this is what we want to do. And, the end product is completely different, but it's still beautiful because they have to create something on the fly. And so I have ballerinas and designers are my favorite people.
All right.
Well,
You
thank
say
you.
ballerinas?
Thank you.
Yeah, ballerinas are the hardest work. I would take a ballerina over a lineman any day. They're the hardest, toughest people I've ever worked with in my life. Anytime I could literally last night, again, I'm sitting there and this waitress comes over and she just kind of like flew into the room. And I was like, are you a ballerina? She goes, I am. And she goes, how do you know? I said, because you were just so fluid coming in and you're so strong and like everybody else looks exhausted at the end of the night and you're still like dancing around the room. So yes, so design and ballerinas are my favorite people.
Glenn, you do that. Are you a ballerina as well?
I like to think of myself that way.
You should wear that tonight for the costume party.
Yeah, tonight there's an '80s costume party. I totally didn't bring myself.
We'll
I
hook
mean,
you up.
clothes and stuff like that. Yeah, I could use some '80s stuff. Maybe I'll go buy PacSun and go buy some really bright neon colored clothes that I used to have in like 1983. All right, everybody, we got to start wrapping this bad boy up. So just tell us how to find you. Feel free to do a shameless plug, Beth. Let's start with you.
Well,
It's so funny. I saw your hand in Beth's chat. I just saw your hand.
It's so nice to be here in
It's so
person.
nice to be together.
Yes, Campbell House. We're at campbellhouseco.com, or you can follow us on social media. Very exciting. We have studios in Las Vegas, LA, Dallas, New York, and Paris. And
Amazing.
very excited, hoping to work with you guys on
All right.
anything in design.
Congratulations.
Are they studios or are they like a guy in an apartment?
There's a group of people in each city, but we don't have physical offices yet. So we're working towards.
Okay.
We're using
everybody's still working from home, so all my friends are in publicity and designing. Everybody's still working from home for a number of reasons, and it seems to work. So thank you for being on.
Thank you.
All right, and what about you guys?
So
Give us a shameless plug.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, it's Duncan and Miller Design, and we're in Dallas.
And DC.
Yeah, and DC as well. And then and social media and
Yeah.
DuncanMillerDesign.com.
Right.
Yeah.
All all that good stuff.
All right. Awesome.
We just need more people. That's our problem is
Yeah,
finding
finding-
people.
Glenn. Oh, dude, really? You can't find designers either, huh?
I'm designers.
Not with experience.
No, this is not the first
They're all
firm that I've
newbies.
heard saying that.
No,
at
it's
on this trip.
only new people from out of school are applying. And all the
Yeah.
people have changed careers or realtors.
But with
or,
everybody's being forced to go back to work. I've heard that a few times this
Yeah.
week. I
Right.
think you're going to get some good talent coming free here.
I hope so.
Pretty soon.
I hope so.
Well,
All right.
Glenn, I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with your scheduling ability because you sent everybody on lunch and now they're all coming back. Right? at
I
the
know.
time
Well,
for the
hopefully
podcast.
we'll get a little lunch. I don't want to miss out
I
on
thought you were
that.
taking us to the steakhouse.
Yeah, it's just in Vegas, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long trip. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
we should just
thank
hang
you.
out. Anthony and I are going to wrap up right now and get out of here. Anthony, that was really fun, wasn't it?
Don't forget to do the slide.
All right, I'm actually going to do the slide right now. All right, let's get out of here, guys. I'll be back to tomorrow with a great GM panel. I'll probably be doing that in my hotel room. And of course, you guys who want to listen to the audio version of this podcast, find that on Apple Podcasts. Find it everywhere you get your podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all that kind of good stuff. And remember, everybody, I'm getting into saying this now because I really feel like we're all vibrating with love and light, particularly at this event. And that long night is over. The sun is coming up. So remember, you've only got one life. So blaze on.
And truly be kind to yourself.
All right, everybody. See you tomorrow. Thanks so much for the love and support. Can't wait to be back here with you all tomorrow, 12 Eastern. See you then.